This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. Over the weekend, our nation marked 21 years since the 9/11 attacks, the deadliest terror attacks on American soil in U.S. history. And Virgin Islands Governor Albert Bryan Jr. also commemorated Patriot Day on Sunday by taking part in the Office of Veterans Affairs annual Patriot Day Parade and ceremony in Christiansted, and also meeting with National Guard members. In a statement, he said, quote, "We gather to remember the victims of that fateful day 21 years ago, some of whom were Virgin Islanders, and to honor the many courageous men and women who bravely and selflessly risked their lives and their health and safety on that day to save so many lives of many others." He went on to say, quote, "We also honor the service and sacrifices made by our servicemen and women who defended our nation in the global war on terror, and those who continue to serve in defense of our democratic principles and values." He spoke about the global war on terrorism and what it means to Virgin Islanders as Americans.
Since that September 11th tragic day, the world has changed so much, and we're still reacting to that. And in my remarks for that event, I clearly displayed that sometimes it feels like we're under terrorist attack. But just as a nation that we unified and thousands of people enlisted into the Army and Navy and Armed Forces and rallied against terrorism, and that's why we have the Freedom Tower there now in New York. I think it's the same way we have to rally against the terrorists in our community who are shooting at us and our family, our friends, and our neighbors, all the murders that we have. We are greater than them, and we need to make sure that we take back our community. So on Sunday, we also had participating in that ceremony were some of the family of Virgin Islanders who died in that fatal attack and the ensuing war on global terrorism. So it was a somber event, but a reminder of all the living servicemen and women that serve in our National Guard, in our fire department, police department, EMTs, health services that are out there on the front lines every day fighting to keep Virgin Islanders safe.
And as Governor Bryan just mentioned, it was, of course, a somber day for many in the U.S. Rahima Ellis has details on the memorials on Sunday at the sites of attacks around the country.
On this day of remembrance, somber moments of silence. Emotional tributes at Ground Zero have become tradition.
Asia S. Cottom.
Maria, I don't know when this weight in my chest is gonna go away, but it's gonna be there, I guess, until they lay me down beside you.
Uncle Jimmy, I'm so proud to be named after you. You are my hero.
Nino, one thing I'm sure, I was there from day one looking for you. From the first hour I received a phone call. Thanks to you looking over me.
Vice President Harris joined families remembering those lost in the terrorist attacks when two planes struck the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center in New York City on 9/11.
We'll never forget.
At the Pentagon, President Biden vowing to always defend the nation from terrorists and remembering Queen Elizabeth, who stood with America on the day of the attacks.
He poignantly reminded us, quote, "Grief is the price we pay for love."
In Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the First Lady joined others in the open field, remembering those heroes who stormed the cockpit of United Flight 93.
This is the legacy we must carry forward. Hope that defies hate. Love that defies loss. And the ties that hold us together.
In Roseville, California, firefighters paying their respects. Tributes also played out at football stadiums. Back at Ground Zero,
never forget.
Gordon Huey's sister, Susan, died in the North Tower. He still vividly remembers the day he lost his best friend.
We were like two peas in a pod. We were so close. She was my best friend, my confidant, so I miss her a lot.
sad day in our nation's history. Virgin Islands police are investigating a deadly one-vehicle accident over the weekend on St. Croix. It happened Saturday morning around 2:30 a.m. on Melvin H. Evans Highway in the East Airport Road intersection. Police say the driver was speeding when he lost control at the intersection, veered off the road, and slammed into a traffic light pole. Police say the driver was wearing his seatbelt, but as you can see from the image on your screen, the impact was devastating and he died at the scene. The driver has been identified as 34-year-old Angel Espinosa. According to police, the Traffic Investigation Bureau is continuing its investigation. Meantime, Virgin Islands police are also investigating an officer-involved shooting which happened on Monday. Fortunately, no injuries were reported. Police say officers were called out to Clifton Hill and Kings Hill around 9:50 a.m. During an interaction with the suspect, the officer discharged his weapon. The officer nor the suspect was hurt, according to police, and police say this is an ongoing investigation. Now to the very latest on the funeral plans for Queen Elizabeth II, as the new head of the United Kingdom already made his first visit to Parliament as king. Thousands of people lined the streets to pay their respects Monday for Queen Elizabeth II's final journey. The Queen's coffin was driven from Balmoral Castle of the Scottish capital to Edinburgh on Sunday. The Queen's daughter, Princess Anne, accompanied the procession as it made its way through tiny villages and small towns. On Monday, the coffin was brought to St. Giles Cathedral for a church service attended by King Charles III and his Queen consort Camilla. Starting on Wednesday, her coffin will be at Westminster Hall, where for 4 days the public will be able to file past the Queen's closed coffin. They're telling mourners to expect long lines and wait times. King Charles made his first visit to Parliament as monarch Monday before leading that royal procession. At a growing list of beaches across the nation, visitors are asking, where's the sand? Coastal communities across the country are concerned about the rate of beach erosion on their shores. Some worry that roads, businesses, and even homes could wash away with little time to prepare. Skylar Henry has more now from Flagler Beach on Florida's Atlantic coast.
In a short amount of time, this dune just a few weeks ago was out this far. And now it's eroded back and the vegetation is dying.
Erosion along Flagler Beach in Florida has picked up, and it isn't stopping. City Manager William Whitson says he's put out calls for help to truck in more than 1.3 million cubic yards of sand needed to restore parts of the beach that have washed away. What's happening in Flagler isn't an anomaly. Communities up and down the U.S. coasts are watching their beaches disappear, from New Jersey to Hawaii to North Carolina's Outer Banks. Texas A&M University professor Sam Brody sees chronic erosion around the country.
I like to point out that there is not one variable that's causing the erosion problem.
Brody's research shows climate change is one factor, but so is development so close to the water and construction on barrier islands that disrupts the sturdy sand needed to protect the mainland.
The synergy between the two is what worries me over the next couple decades.
While residents and visitors are being asked to stay off the dunes on Flagler Beach to preserve what's left, Whitson says the community needs to identify long-term solutions.
We have city facilities here that have been here 100 years, and we want to keep it that way.
As the tide creeps in, the problem grows, leaving the city and the coast on high alert.